So what changed for me is my mother actually got diagnosed with melanoma, which is a very lethal form of skin cancer.
Oh, okay.
And the ironic thing is if it wasn't melanoma and it was like a basal cell carcinoma, something commonly found on the face,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the trajectory would have made me shift.
Okay.
But it was on her back.
Oh.
And the way melanoma works is it's typically very visible.
Mm.
And it typically takes around 10 years to form.
Oh.
And through all the professionals that were seeing her, dermatologists, physician assistants, they all missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And here I was at the time, and I didn't have medical school knowledge. I didn't have, because there's the school of medicine and then there's medical school, which are two different things.
Yeah.
But those acumen clinically, they're almost equal until you get to a certain point in the education, and they should have been able to spot it.
Yeah.
If they couldn't visually spot it, they should have been able to measure a test for it, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a physical body scan.
Yeah.
There's CTs. They still missed it.
Okay.
So the difference with that is when you get diagnosed with a melanoma, it's not always even dependent the staging. It's just the fact that it's so deadly once it gets into the bloodstream. Once it gets through the dermis layer tissues of the skin, that it just goes right up to the brain, like quick. And it just kills you. It's a very low survivability once it metastasizes. So to make the story short, there was a surgery that needed to be done. And I'll teach you a little bit about dermatology here. If they want clean margins in a cancer, they don't just take out the cancer. They take out surrounding tissue. So what they have is clean margins because cancer grows outward, not inward.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get rid of a cancer and it looks just like this, it can grow back within a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's even deeper in the layers. So what they had to do is they had to triangulate, cut her back open.
Oh.
And then here I was, not even 30 years old. Here I was not even 30 years old, and you just see your mother in extreme pain. The recovery was nasty.
Yeah.
So granted, you don't have to have chemotherapy and all that. It was enough for me emotionally to be like, you know what? I don't want to be in oncology and infectious disease.
Yeah.
So I went back to oral surgery, and he was one of the most profiled surgeons we've ever had in North Carolina. By no exaggeration, one of the most published, one of the most respected. And we had at the time, I think we had like a 14-year relationship, just being friends, going to his seminars, etc. So I went to him and I said, hey, my mother's going through some stuff, but I don't want to leave the OR. I don't want to leave the clinical presence. Can I work with you and just shadow some surgeries, just to kind of, help me out, right? Clear my mind.
Yeah.
So he let me. And then after about a year of doing that, there was a table discussion, and it was, hey, we've been working on something since like 2017, and this was when there were the other anesthesiologists that came to talk to me. But they said, we don't know what to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's not the design I have today. It's not the technology, but it was a napkin drawing, and it was a concept that had viability. And the viability was, no matter it was Medtronic, Stryker, or it was McKesson, the tubes that they were given was not sufficient for the surgery and the anesthesia. So they had to makeshift a tube, and you couldn't get that through the FDA, but at the same time, you could kind of understand, if you understand engineering, how if you chop one side of this off, one side of that off, and then use a third tube, you can form something. And then that comes like the thesis for it. So making that story short, I spent about 3 years with him in the OR, and the unfortunate thing about surgeons is they are very, very busy. So you had to work with them. You couldn't just like email them, talk to them later. So we're doing like 8 hours of surgery every other day, and it's rapid. It's not like normal emergency surgery. So you're doing like 8 hours of surgery broken up in 4 hours, and then it feels like you just did 16 hours because they're really quick, and it's a different type of sedation. I don't know if you've had any oral surgery procedures before, but we generally anesthetize a patient inside 5 minutes of them sitting down, and we have them in and out within an hour.
Okay.
Most of our procedures, some of them can go for an hour plus, but most of them are in the 35-minute to 50-minute window.
Mm-hmm.
So we are literally able to rotate over as compared to like the hospital. Generally, a hospital is 4+ hours.
Yep.
Between that and recovery, etc. So we get all this information and we start to see like, hey, patients are responding to this.